Okay, hello again. Now it's the chapter 8. As I ought to have understood human nature much better than I supposed it possible for my master to do, so it was easy to apply the character he gave of the Yahoos to myself and my countrymen. I believed I could yet make further discoveries from my own observation. Now he tells us about the Yahoos and also the Honyms. The next paragraph. They are prodigiously nimble from their infancy. However, I once caught a young female of 3 years old and endeavored by all marks of tenderness to make it quiet. But the little imp fell a squealing and scratching and biting with such violence that I was forced to let it go. And it was high time, for a whole troop of old ones came about us at the noise, but finding the cub was safe, and my sorrel nag being by, they durst not venture near us. So the Yahoos are so nimble, so active, even a 3-year-old Yahoo can bite, can hit him very violently, can scratch him very violently. I observed the young animal's flesh to smell very rank, and the sting was somewhat between a weasel and a fox, but much more disagreeable. So even that 3-year-old Yahoo stinks so badly because they are so filthy. And they always live in filth. As Gulliver associates them with human beings, when he returns home, he will think that his own species, even his own family, smells terribly. The next paragraph. By what I could discover, the Yahoos appear to be most unteachable of all animals, their capacities never reaching higher than to draw or carry burdens. Yet I am of opinion this defect ariseth chiefly from a perverse, restive disposition. For they are cunning, malicious, treacherous, and revengeful. So these creatures are revengeful when something bad is done to one of the members of the society. The rest of the society want to take revenge. They are unteachable. They do not learn anything. It is very difficult to teach them something, and their capacity doesn't take any more information. Their intelligence is not sufficient for that. They are strong and hardy, but of a cowardly spirit, by consequence insolent, abject, and cruel. It's observed that the red-haired of both sexes are more libidinous and mischievous than the rest, whom they much exceed in strength and activity. So the red-haired ones among the Yahoos are more libidinous. They want, their libido is higher than the others, and they exceed the rest of the society in strength and activity. The Honyms keep the Yahoos for present use in huts, not far from the house. So the Honyms want to keep them near their house because they are useful in serving them, to work as servants. Rest are sent abroad to certain fields where they dig up roots, eat several kinds of herbs, search about for carrion, or sometimes catch weasels or lumius, which is sort of wild rat. So they eat that wild rat. When they go abroad outside the village, they hunt for those wild rats to eat them, which they greedily devour. Nature hath taught them to dig deep holes with their nails on the side of a rising ground, wherein they lie but themselves. Only the kennels of the females are larger, sufficient to hold 2 or 3 cubs. They swim from their infancy like frogs are able to continue long underwater, where they often take fish which the females carry home to their young. And upon this occasion, I hope the reader will pardon my relating an odd adventure. Okay. Now, on the next page, what about the Hunyums, and what about the beautiful characteristics of Hunyums? Friendship and benevolence are the two principal virtues among the Hunyums. These not confined to particular objects, but universal to the whole race. For a stranger from the remotest part is equally treated with the nearest neighbor. Wherever he goes, looks upon himself as at home. So friendship is perfect, and they are very hospitable. So a stranger from a far part of the country comes, he feels himself at home because they treat him like their nearest neighbor. They preserve decency and civility in the highest degrees, but are altogether ignorant of ceremony. So they are very decent, very respectful, and they are very civil. All good values are attributed to them, but they don't like ceremonies. They have no fondness of colts or foals, but they take care. But the care they take in educating them proceeds entirely from the dictates of reason. And I observed my master to show the same affection to his neighbor's issue that he had for his own. So, they take care of their neighbor's problems as if they are their own problems. I observed they will have it that nature teaches them to love the whole species. I wish the nature had taught us to love all the other species, but the human beings are not like that. It is reason only that maketh a distinction of persons, wherein there is a superior degree of virtue. In their marriages, I skip the next paragraph. This is very interesting. If I were in the class, I would have loved to discuss it with you. In their marriages, they are exactly careful to choose such colors as will not make any disagreeable mixture in the breed. So now, continuation of the breed, the beauty of their family, the beauty of their breed is very important for them. So when they select a wife or a husband for their marriage, they look at the breed, look at the genetics of the person. Strength is chiefly valued in the male. All right? The males have to be strong. And comeliness in the female, not upon the account of love, but to preserve the race from degenerating. Where a female happens to excel in strength, a consort is chosen with regard to comeliness. Okay, so if a female is stronger, the decision is taken if she is comely or not. So what are the important values now? Courtship, love, presence, jointures, settlements have no place in their thoughts or terms whereby to express them in their language. So they don't have words for love, words for courtship, words for presence. They don't do such things. The young couple meet and are joined merely because it is a determination of their parents and friends, because the families want it. So they find your partner. The family and the society find your partner and they bring them together. So you don't have to love. You don't search for love in that relationship. It is what they see done every day. They look upon it as one of the necessary actions of a rational being. But the violation of marriage was never heard of. The married pair pass their lives with the same friendship and mutual benevolence that they bear to all others of the same species who come in their way. without jealousy, fondness, quarreling, and discontent. Yes, if we were in the classroom, I would have discussed it with you and to ask you, what do you think? Is it the arranged marriage? Obviously, Honiums practice arranged marriage. The society and your family, maybe your neighbors, decide whom you should marry. This is arranged marriage. And they see that in their marriages, divorce is very seldom. It's not observed very commonly. Divorce is very rare. I would have asked you what you think about it. Arranged marriages or love marriage? Which one do you prefer? So the excellence in the society, the excellence in the Honium society is maintained by the arranged marriages according to them. In chapter 9, the question to be debated was whether the Yahoos should be exterminated from the face of the earth. Should they kill all of them, terminate all of them, or not? One of the members for the affirmative offered several arguments of great strength and weight, alleging that as the Yahoos were the most filthy, noisome, and deformed animal which nature ever produced, so they were the most restive and indocible, mischievous and malicious. They would privately suck the teats of the Honium's cows, kill and devour their cats, trample down their oats and grass, if they were not continually watched, commit 1,000 other extravagancies. He took notice of a general tradition, that Yahoos had not been always in that country, but that many ages ago 2 of these brutes appeared together upon a mountain, whether produced by the heat of the sun upon corrupted mud and slime, or from the ooze and froth of the sea, was never known. So Yahoos were not there, actually. 2 of them, one male and one female Yahoo, came from another place to the Honium's land. That these Yahoos engendered and their brood in a short time grew so numerous as to overrun and infest the whole nation. That the Honiums, to get rid of this evil, made a general hunting and at last enclosed the whole herd, and destroying the elder. Every Honium kept 2 young ones in a kennel, and brought them to such a degree of tameness as an animal so savage by nature can be capable of acquiring, using them for draught and carriage. So it is difficult to decide whether Yahoos should be terminated from this earth, but it turns out to be a very difficult job for them. The Honiums have no letters. On the next page, the Honiums have no letters. Consequently, their knowledge is all traditional. They have no letters, no books, so the knowledge is taken traditional ways. There are happening few events of any moment among a people so well united, naturally disposed to every virtue, wholly governed by reason, cut off from all commerce with other nations. They have no relationship with other nations. They cut all their relationships with them. And how do they educate their children? The historical part is easily preserved without burdening their memories. I have already observed that they are subject to no diseases, therefore can have no need of physicians. However, they have excellent medicines composed of herbs, to cure accidental bruises and cuts in the pastern of frog of the foot by sharp stones, as well as other maims and hurts in the several parts of the body. So they find traditional herbs, traditional medicines, and the knowledge about everything in the world is passed from the elderly to the young, only the traditional education. In poetry, they must be allowed to excel all the mortals. So there's one thing they must be perfect. It's poetry, wherein the justness of their similes, the minuteness, as well as the exactness of their descriptions are indeed inimitable. Their verses abound very much in both of these and usually contain either some exalted notions of friendship and benevolence, or the praises of those who were victors in races and other bodily exercises. Their buildings, although very rude and simple, are not inconvenient, but well contrived to defend them from all injuries of cold and heat. They have a kind of tree, which at 40 years old loosens in the root and falls in the first storm. So they plant a tree, in 40 years the tree falls by itself, and they use it to make houses. They grow very straight, pointed like stakes with a sharp stone. They stick them erect in the ground about 10 inches asunder, then weave it out straw, sometimes wattles betwixt them. The roof is made after the same manner, so are the doors. Finally, they live generally, on the next page, the next paragraph, they live generally to 70 or 75 years, very seldom to 80. Some weeks before their death, they feel a gradual decay. This is wonderful, without pain. So a few weeks before they die, they start to feel it, without pain, but they start to feel that the death is coming. So they understand. During this time, they are much visited by their friends, because they cannot go abroad with their usual ease and satisfaction. They feel so, unable to travel. So all the family and friends come to visit them, to see them for the last time, which is wonderful. And then, about 10 days before their death, they suddenly feel better. So they return the visits that have been made by them, those who are the nearest in the neighborhood, being carried in a convenient sledge drawn by yahoos, which vehicle they use, not only upon this occasion, but when they grow old, upon long journeys. And therefore, when the dying Hunyums return those visits, they take a solemn leave of their friends, as if they were going to some remote part of the country where they design to pass the rest of their lives. So they can say farewell to all their loved ones. Okay, this is the end of the chapter. So we have only 25 pages to finish the book, and I will finish them tomorrow. Okay, see you tomorrow. Thank you.